Right. Odin, it's great to have you on the podcast today. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Adam. How are you been doing?
No, good, good. Yeah, I'm really, really well, thank you. And yeah, I've been doing well. Good week this week, and yeah, I just want to say I'm grateful to connect with you through friend Salio, and it's great
Yes,
to have you on the
absolutely.
podcast. And I just kind of thought I'd introduce you and talk about how you kind of got into what you do because you're a coach and you talk about like kind of spiritual awakenings and that kind of thing. How did you kind of like get into this kind of life field?
Well, I've been went through all this through my own journey, I believe. Well, I believe in one thing. Suffering is necessary until you realize that suffering isn't necessary.
Mm,
Well, through my own suffering, I have been spiritual awake as well through Eckhart's teaching. He's my role model. I've been reading his books, and it's really helped me to spiritually awaken and enlighten. So yes, this is how I become who I
yeah.
am. Yes,
Yeah, I think that's it, and I think it's like looking at people's content and having that role models, like important, and it's a way sometimes to try and you know look at ourselves and work on ourselves and kind of take teachings, from other people and apply them to our lives, things like that.
absolutely, absolutely. There is too many things that I could have relate to my own life and to my own suffering. I believe I would say I wouldn't like to say the suffering. I would say more rather than a journey that
Mm,
I've went through. Everyone has a journey, and it's very important to always know the truth, always to
yeah.
know and understand the problem or the situation that you're going through. You don't have to really cope with whatever you are. You have to understand you really do not have to fit in. Trying to
Mm,
fit in with whatever you are is 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 bad for the self. You have to
yeah.
understand what's going on. If there is something that doesn't seem right, well, it doesn't seem right. There's
Mm,
something that you have to understand, that you have to have the touch, have the connection between you and the soul within you.
mm,
Therefore, you'll get the answers.
mm.
And
That's it, and I think sorry.
yeah, that's it. And voila.
Yeah, I think like you said, like it's connecting into yourself, isn't it? And then that's the ultimate kind of way. And by making those decisions to connect to yourself and be self-aware. And as you was talking about earlier about like people sometimes lose their way and what they think is happiness isn't happiness, and they get sidetracked into doing different activities or things that they're just kind of distractions from what's really going on, kind of thing.
Well, I believe that that's the illness where a human being do, that they try to run after happiness. Happiness is not something that you really can get. Happiness is not something that you can get from another. Happiness is not something that you do gain temporary from a situation or another or an experience. Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness
Mm,
is a state of mind. You gain it while being in joy. To be in joy, you have to be conscious mind. To be conscious mind means that you do not have to get stuck in your brain where there is a storm of future and past. That means that you are at your own present moment, living it now. That's being conscious. While being fully conscious, you feel the joy. While you feel the joy comes the happiness. That's the state of mind that
mm,
everyone is looking for, and it stays with you forever. I mean, if I mean, like, of course, it can be there forever, and it can go away if you're unconscious to your mind or to the situation. That's it.
mm. That's it.
That's
And
what I really believe about happiness. Sorry.
no, I just agree. And I think like happiness is I think what makes someone happy is different for each person, but I think ultimately, people can all get sidetracked into, like you said, thinking about the past and too far into the future. And if you're too far into the future, that creates that anxiety sometimes. It's good to have a plan, isn't it? But if
Absolutely,
you if
absolutely.
you're too you're too far ahead and you're worrying, then that's different, isn't it? And I think a lot of these things aren't really taught to people. I think they should be people should be educated on this kind of thing, you know.
People should be educated about this is the only thing that is supposed to be educated, I really believe. Because see, thing is, the mind is a very strong instrument that is not being used, that is not being occupied where it is supposed to be. Therefore, the mind does not need a control, does not need your lead. Your mind takes you to the future, trying to relive a certain situation or a certain experience, trying to relive it back and forth until you try, or the mind tries to make it right, while there is no right and there is no wrong. Then you get depressed. Then you go to the future. You try to imagine a better future, or you're trying because the moment that you're living at the moment is not something that you're really happy with. Therefore, you create an imaginary future where you think that it will be better than the now moment. When tomorrow comes, there is nothing. There is nothing that you have imagined of. Then you get more anxious. Going to the past makes you depressed. Going to the future makes you anxious. While the truth moment is the moment that you're having now, the present moment. Therefore, this is the thing over here. The human do not have the control of holding the mind to the present moment. The mind leads the self or the one to the future and to the past, and try to, as much as possible, to struggle with the now. Why the struggle? While this is only that we have. This is the mentality that everyone has to understand. That the brain, whatever the brain tells you, you don't have to become it. You're supposed to only be the watcher to it. Why do people, when they speak, they say, I think? Well, do you say I heart, I hand? No. You say my heart, my hand. But why don't you say my mind? Why do you say I think? Why don't you say my mind thinks? Why do you say I think? That's because the person is identified with the mind. Therefore, he becomes I. The mind becomes I. That's the problem. But you're not the mind. Once you realize that the voice in your head is not you, well, everything gonna be sorted out. You're not the mind. Whatever the mind narrates is not you. You're the watcher. That's it. What do you
Hmm.
think?
Yeah, no, I definitely identify with that, and I think it's there is like this kind of separation. I think between, like you say, the mind, and people will say I or it or mine, and there's all these kind of separations as you mentioned as to what people label it as, and it's I think it's a very, like I said, the mind is so very very powerful, and there are so many complexities with it. But as you said, it's to see it as like an observer in some ways, as you mentioned. Just to you're like the observer of like your life, and what comes up, like you said, isn't always you and yourself. If that makes sense, it could be other
Imaginary.
people, yeah, imaginary from probably your environment or other people, or
Exactly.
what you've taken in that isn't real, if that makes sense. And it's imaginary. Like sometimes in the past, I had like doubts, self doubts, or you know, fears and worries and all of this. And that's it's just like you said, that image and that imaginary image that you've created, and it just then gives you those imaginary thoughts, if that makes sense, or doubts.
Yes. 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 There is no problem in it, but the problem is you believing it.
Hmm.
That's the illness. That's a disease. The mind have taken control. Well, that's a disease that we really have to look into it, and we have to accept it. Well, nothing gonna be changed unless you accept it.
Mm,
Acceptance, by accepting process would take place. If
mm,
you're not accepting that there is a disease that you ongoing with, how would you change it? How would you change something that you don't believe that is there? How to end the suffering while you don't believe that there is a suffering? That's the
mm,
thing. Well, calling something bad or good as well, it's something that comes from the mind.
mm,
Labelizing a situation as a bad or good is something that the mind only that creates. There is nothing I believe is called bad or good. It's
mm,
only situations that you live it. You either accept it or you either try to unaccept it. Through your unacceptance comes the struggle. What you struggle makes it more strong and
mm.
make the suffering harder. What do you think about that?
I think I can kind of it makes me think about the current situation here in the UK because we're in a third lockdown. We're currently in a lockdown now, and with the situation, there's a lot of things that are kind of out of our control, you know, and
Yes.
it's like your mind. It's like that clash sometimes. There are people out there right now who they're being tested. I mean, they might have job problems or struggles or things they can and can't do, and they can't go to do the activities that they think brings them happiness. I think a lot of people are shifting, and it's like I said in your mind, and sometimes I can have days where I could probably feel a bit overwhelmed with the situation, but then I'm like, well, that's just my mind, and just these kind of irrational
Exactly.
thoughts that aren't real, and worries
Exactly.
about random things, and it's like a clash sometimes with your mind, but then you just kind of have to let go of that because, as you said,
Exactly.
it's not real. It's just kind of
Illusion.
what's coming up. Yeah,
Exactly. That's the thing. It's really sometimes it's really funny how the mind creates that illusion, and the person is tend to believe it. It's very funny how powerful the mind is. It's how powerful instrument the mind is. Sometimes I honestly laugh on my own
yeah,
thoughts. I mean, like I say, like, how did he even get that? It's funny.
yeah.
It's really funny. The more the more in control you are to the mind, the less overwhelmed you will be. Speaking of the lockdown, it's very hard. It's very, very hard. And the reason why it's very hard is because you are locked down with the self, with the broken self.
Mm,
And that's why people tend to suffer. People wants to go out, hang out with the friends, hang out with people, or hang out with people who try to make them less themselves. Therefore, there is no suffering. But now, because of the lockdown, you're sitting with yourself, you're listening to the noise yourself is trying to give it to you, the crying, the broken self.
mm,
You need to heal it. You
mm,
need to heal it in order for you to know how to live with it. That's
mm,
you. That's the only thing that's there. I have here too many people ending their life because of the pandemic.
mm,
And that's really, I see that the world is more concerned of COVID-19 more than the mental health. Well, COVID-19 would not really kill as much as the mind can kill a person. You can literally have the COVID-19 while you don't have it through the mind.
mm,
It's the mind that controls all the organs in your body.
mm,
It can give, it can shoot neurons throughout your body without you feeling that there is something is going on inside your body. That the mind shoots billions of neurons
mm,
throughout your body while you don't know about them. Imagine that the mind have decided to shut down. What
mm,
then?
mm,
It will shut down because you're unaware of your own soul. You're
mm,
unaware of the mind. You're unaware of the mind that the mind have taken over.
mm.
That's really dangerous, I believe. Mental health is supposed to be wider and wider and wider each and every day. It's really important. It's very much important. Well, the thing is, what will happen is when everyone starts to get awakened.
Mm. Yeah, sorry, it got disconnected then, but you were talking about like awakenings.
Yeah, I was speaking about awakening. So the thing is, the people we're gonna come to we're gonna come to days where the awakening process will take the process. I mean, and everyone will start disbelieving on everyone around them. They will lose trust. They will lose honesty with everyone, and that's a problem. I believe one have to seek help if they are feeling that they are unable to cope with their life, unable to fit in. They need to really reach out to people who can truly help them, and it's
Mm.
very important. It's very important.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, like, as you mentioned, like with the pandemic, like a lot of people who've been unstable and not okay have, resorted to doing, those things such as like, commit suicide. And I think like cases, I think I heard here where I live, like definitely skyrocketed, higher than usual because of it. And I think, as you mentioned, like people are being forced to look at things, and things coming up for them, as you said, maybe from their past or parts of themselves, and people have to heal and look at these things, to move forward and to grow. And I think I always think, like to myself, like there is like a silver lining, like yes, it's uncomfortable and it's difficult, but you're going to kind of grow through this period. I think you have to look at. I mean, I think what helps me is when I think back to the past or how I might have felt when I had other things going on in the past, and I think to myself, it's not as bad as what I've been through, in the past. I'm okay, and controlling, looking at what I can control, my mindset, my health, the things I choose to do. You can't control COVID. It's a bit like the weather. You can't control the weather, so you got to look
Absolutely,
at the things you can control, and that helps me. And I always say that to people as well.
absolutely. Like some people really hate training, but then they refuse to
Yeah.
go out because it's raining. But once you say it's raining, it's only a situation.
Hmm.
That's it. There is
Yeah.
nothing bad. There is nothing good. There is nothing to fear of. How
Hmm.
would you fear of something that is made for you? Every situation is a challenge for you to grow.
Hmm.
It's as simple as that. There is nothing to
Yeah.
fear of. You're the universe. You're the whole life itself.
Hmm.
Everything in life has been made for you. You are not
Hmm.
a guest in this universe. You're the whole universe itself.
Hmm.
Therefore, when a person dies, the universe dies.
Hmm.
Life
Yeah.
dies. You're
That's it.
something that's more important than everything. Everything is made for us. You
Hmm.
get my point?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I think like there's everything's all connected, isn't it? There's a reason for everything. There's a purpose for everything, and I think like there's a lot of unknown in life. People fear the unknown because I think for a lot of people they fear what they don't know. If that makes sense. And
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm gonna come to that point. To that point, there is the ego. There is the egoic mind
Mm,
which limits you from everything. Like for example, a person would say, I won't go swimming. I don't know how to swim. I'm gonna drown. But
yeah.
how would you know that if you never tried it? It'd be
Mm,
like because I don't know how to swim. Well, all right, knowing not to swim is different than drowning. Why would you think that you would drown? Even if you drown, so what? You're gonna learn from it. I mean, like,
mm,
what would really make it painful if you have never tried it? That's because the mind
mm,
tells you, the egoic mind tells you, no, do not do that. You're gonna die.
mm,
No, don't
mm,
step out. You're gonna die. No, don't
mm,
do this or that. You're gonna die. The mind always tries to stay on the comfort zone, while staying in
mm,
the comfort zone would never make you
mm.
grow, would never make you be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely relate to that, and I think it's so true. And I think, like, driving is a good concept of it. Like when you're learning to drive,
Yes.
like I remember feeling anxious and worried about crashing and all the negatives
Yes.
because my mind was trying to protect me from from danger.
Exactly.
Because it's just the
Exactly.
way it's wired.
Exactly. But coming to a realization, is the mind really trying to keep you safe, or is it the mind trying to keep its own self safe?
Mm,
That's the question. Because you're you're yet not safe if you did not try things out.
yeah.
You Those things were made for you to try them out. If you do not try them out, well, how would you
Mm,
learn? How would you grow? The soul is not supposed to be kept as it is. It would always be hungry for growth. It would
yeah.
always be hungry for new things. Well, it's
Mm,
made, you're made for this, and the mind as well is made for this. But the thing is, who's in control of the mind is the question.
mm,
It's either you, or the mind itself is in control of the mind,
mm,
and the mind is controlling you.
mm,
You're the soul. You're not the mind. You are the one beneath the mind, beneath the thinking pattern. It's beneath the body itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think like it's like with emotions, people react from emotions, and emotions come up, and then it's almost like walking on a tightrope. It's like a balancing act. So you've got these emotions and you've got these thoughts, and that you're kind of struck between, like, this tightrope of emotions and thoughts, and am I going to walk back? Am I going to go forward? And it's trying, like, to not, because as you said, like, if you're not controlling your mind, your mind's going to control you, isn't it? Basically, and they're just, you're going to be in that reaction mode all the time, and not living your full potential, as you mentioned. I was just
Well, yeah, please continue, please.
I was just say, like, do you have any books that you like to read, or any favorite books or anything?
Well, I believe The Power of Now
Mm,
is the best book that I would really recommend to everyone. And it's a really tough book, but you it's really important. I really believe it's very, very important. The thing is, speaking of emotion, which you have just
mm,
mentioned,
mm,
well, people say I feel an emotion.
mm,
How would you feel an emotion? The sense of feeling is only on the outer, like for example, the senses through the hands.
mm,
This is
mm,
how you only feel the senses. But then you say, I feel afraid, I feel anxious, I feel depressed,
mm.
or whatever. It's something that's inside. How does the person is capable of feeling that? Here comes the question. It's unnatural. It's unnatural for you to feel a sense of emotion which is inside. Can you feel your liver? Can you feel your stomach? Can you
Yeah.
feel? I mean, like, you don't really. So being afraid. I'm feeling afraid, or I'm feeling afraid. How would that come? So here comes the question. your mind is capable of playing games, and it would give you the sense of being scared or being anxious. Therefore, since you are identified with the mind, very much identified with the mind, therefore whatever your mind feels, you become it.
Mm.
Therefore you feel anxious, you feel depressed, you feel happy, which is the temporary happiness. You feel sad. You feel all those feelings are projected from the mind and you believe it. Therefore, you become it, you live it. That's
Mm.
because you are identified with the mind. Our orals, you could be saying, my mind is having a sense of sadness.
Mm.
My mind having a sense of depression. My mind having a sense of anxious. You wouldn't become it. Your mind would become it. But you are not your mind. Since you're not your mind, it would not really affect you.
Mm.
That's the same concept of comes of someone calling you names. It would not really affect you. Whatever people think of you until you take it to the thinking cycle. Once you take it to the thinking cycle, you become it.
Mm.
Since you're your mind. You got me. Or
Mm.
else no one has the capability of affecting you,
Mm.
literally, because everyone is a human being just like you. They don't have the higher power. Their
Mm.
power is only to their own self, not to the others. And that's it.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
I agree, and I think like as you mentioned, like it's those, you know, say for example, someone has opinions of you and they might say something, or you see something on social media and it's like that's like on the surface, but if you ingest that, or you say your mind has that on board, you know, it goes round, and then you ingest that and you believe that, then you then generate those, you know, beliefs about that thing, don't you? It's like if somebody says, "Oh, you're not very good at X, Y, Z," and then you think,
Yes.
"Oh, I might not
Yes.
be very good," and then you're like, "Oh," but then your mind might start kind of creating this image which isn't, you know, which is imaginary, which isn't real. And
Yes. Exactly.
it's all like layers, isn't it, of an onion? It's like layers of, you know, an onion. You know, it's all like if because some people think, oh well, it must be true because I've had however many X Y Z experiences. So then your mind almost tries to put all this evidence together to say, oh yeah, this is what it is, but it's actually not.
And it in fact it can add more imagination to it on top of it. Just
Yeah,
like because you watch movies, and in
yeah,
movies there is things that is unreal, therefore your mind grasps it and make up another its own movie in your own head. That's a very funny part.
mm,
But what the sad part is that you really believe it, you become it.
mm,
Here is the suffering comes from. You need to be able to take to take yourself off the mind. You're not the mind.
mm.
That's it. And then coming to that acceptance is another painful
Yeah,
moment for you to realize that. Therefore you feel to keep the process going. That's the hardest part. Therefore it needs really courage for you to keep the process going, be the watcher to the process, be strong, let the healing process goes on through the soul, because the soul needs its own healing process. So once you do not become your mind and you become your soul, and when you see the soul, how broken, how damaged, how shattered it is from the accumulative pain or the things that really upset the soul, you need time to heal it.
mm,
Healing part is the hardest part.
mm,
Healing part where your courage is needed, where your strength is needed, where a guidance is needed. It's fine to cry. It's fine to scream. It's
mm,
absolutely fine. But giving up and then becoming your mind again, because your mind would not literally let you go off easily. Your mind gonna keep on giving you things that wants you to believe that, oh yeah, this is, I'm the mind. The mind would try to make up stories in your head for you to believe it, therefore you become it. But if you stay the watcher, you would not become it. Therefore that really irritates the egoic mind. The egoic mind is very strong that it will try no matter what to keep you connected with it. You see, you get what I'm trying to
mm.
deliver over here.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah, yeah.
deep. It's very deep for the mind to accept. If you, if not speaking of you, speaking of other people, if they try to think of it, it would never make sense. But if
Mm,
they would try to cling to it, grasp what I'm saying, it would make sense. But
mm,
then the mind would hate and it would give up. It would try to shoot painful emotion into your
mm.
body and it wants you to believe it. But the
I,
trick
th-
is you don't have to believe it.
I think what you're initially saying is as well, like it's forcing people to look at themselves and almost to challenge that part of themselves. That makes sense. Like they're probably irrational beliefs, or to really go into things and to challenge, oneself to look at, where they need to heal themselves or their
Yes.
trauma and all of these
Yes.
things, and to kind of cut through the BS, if that makes sense.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. The traumas will always be a trauma until you figure them out, you heal it. It's
Mm,
very important. The trauma starts becoming traumas in you since childhood.
mm,
So imagine how many years of traumas one could be having,
mm,
how much of accumulative traumas of pain one have.
mm. I,
It's it's not easy. It's not really easy. That's why I decided to become a life coach
mm, mm,
because I know it's not easy. I
mm,
myself have went through this journey all by
mm,
myself in a
mm,
way that made me become who I am.
mm,
Therefore, at my time, I wished if someone like me would pop up in my life and
mm,
guide me. It was really, really tough and hard. It's not easy. Therefore, I have decided to become a life coach and help people out,
mm.
even if that would be for nothing,
Yeah.
because it's really important for me. I can't see people suffering anymore
Mm,
because I've been there. I understand how it feels, how some days it literally felt that death is more merciful than the world that I'm living, or the
mm,
situation, or the people, or whatever.
mm, mm.
So therefore, here I am, Coach
Yeah.
Odin.
Yeah. I think it's great what you're doing, and you're using your experiences and the things you went through to help other people, and I think that's what we should do. Because it's like, using your experiences and seeing them as a strength. To relate to other people, to help other people, and to not be like a bearer or a victim of the experiences or traumas that we went through. If that makes sense, isn't it? That's because you can
Absolutely.
help other people and help them shift through what they may be going for, similarities. And I think
Agree.
it's really great what you're doing. And I think we it's not an easy road to come out about things and to go through that, but ultimately it's rewarding by helping other people and healing as well.
Agree. The thing is, my teaching method that I'm taking forward is I'm not adding any new information to you. I'm just reminding you of what's been there. That's it. I will only enlighten you to the truth, to what is there. But there's no magic that I have would make you see what I see now, or end the suffering, or end the pain that the one feel it within. That pain within needs attention. When you get connected with your own self, it'll guide you. Well, that's your teacher. The soul is your teacher. I'm only there to remind you of the soul that you have. That's it. It's as simple as.
I mean, it's really powerful, isn't it? Like tapping into that, and as you said, using that as your guide, because it is your guide in some sense. And I think in the past, I'm quite aware as a person, and I used to get overwhelmed by it. And I think sometimes, if people can be overwhelmed by things or see things in them as bad, and it's not really bad. It's not negative. It's a gift in some way, isn't it? To have that and to be able to use your experiences as like a guide in some way, isn't it? It's like a compass. They kind of, your intuition and what you pick up on, isn't it? It's like a channeling in some way.
Yes.
But
it's like it's only the mind. Remember not to take everything to the thinking pattern, because the thinking pattern is very strong that it can literally create up a movie, and the movie, you can literally believe it. The mind is not everything. You're not the mind. The mind is an instrument for you to create up a new things that would help the human being. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have to trust whatever you're feeling from your soul. You have to be able to distinguish between the mind and the soul. The mind, the soul, the body. The mind, the soul, the body. You're the soul. The body is yours to take you whatever you want, and the mind is for you to create solutions or create up new things that would ease up your life.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. It's powerful.
Yes, I agree. I really agree.
I think it's powerful, and I think it's really great that people go into, as difficult or uncomfortable it may be, to go into things and to tune into themselves and really get to know themselves. You get to know themselves, and you could be able to help other people through your experiences, things like that.
I really hope so.
And
I really hope so.
And where can people find you on social media and your website or things like that?
I'm sorry, come again?
Where can people find you on social media or your website, that kind of thing?
To be very honest, I'm very new to this.
Yeah.
I'm very new to this. I only have my Instagram page, which is Coach Odin, where I share out my teaching methods and wisdom. That's it for now, and I will hopefully be growing that soon. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Just at the very beginning of my steps toward the new journey.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and it's really great to connect with you, Odin. And I think you're doing great work in what you're doing. And I know, like going on podcasts, and when you're new to it, it can be, different. But I think you're doing a great job, and I'll definitely promote anything that you're doing. And
thank you very much, man.
Yeah, and
really honored.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Really honored.
You're welcome. And
yeah, it really pushes me, to be very honest. It really pushes me toward my journey more and more. It really all the whole podcast and things. it's really, really much encouraging me to keep on going, and it makes me happy and proud of myself that I'm capable of raising the attention out there.
Yeah.
It's really important. So thank you very much. I'm truly honored.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it's great to have you on, and you're all the best in what you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I would really would be more happy to catch up with you more and more later on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, same here.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Stay in
Thank you.
touch.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Sure, man. Sure.